Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. My name is Mark Roden, and in today's video we are going to be going over the good, the bad, and on the Kia Stinger. Why? I don't know. I wanted to do one on the Kia Stinger. We haven't done a good, bad, and ugly in actually quite some time, and partly because of the whole channel rebranding thing that I thought I was going to do like a month ago and then fell back on. But today I decided let's do one on the Kia Stinger. I don't really care for this car too much, but it just kind of popped in my mind. I was like, what are we going to do the next good, bad, and ugly on? Kia Stinger. And sometimes most of the time I go off of comments, but I couldn't find like a good enough comment that like was a good car to do a good, bad, and ugly on. And so I was just like, yeah, let's do it. For those who are new here and don't know how good, bad, and uglies work, by the way, pretty much I go over everything you need to know about the car at first, which is just basic information like engines and trim levels, whatever. Then I go over what the community tends to do with them in terms of modifying them, and then I get into the good, the bad, and the ugly, which we'll go over when we get there. And then at the end of the video I tell you whether or not I think you should buy the car depending on the current situation that you are in. Song of the day is called, I actually don't have one today, so we're gonna have to go with Blue Strips by Jesse Murph. Yeah, that's one I've been listening to on repeat recently, so go give that one a listen, I guess. Without further ado, let's get right into the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Kia Stinger. Alright, so like I said, guys, first thing we got to talk about is all the basic information about the car that I think you should know. First off is the years made and the generation. Well, it was made between the years 2017 and 2023, and it is the only generation of the Kia Stinger, which actually kind of surprised me, by the way, because I thought they were making them still in 2025. It didn't surprise me that they were the only generation. I knew it was the only generation, but yeah, I thought they were still making them, but no, they stopped making them in 2023. As for the trim levels, there is actually more than I thought. I thought it was literally just the Kia Stinger and then the Kia Stinger GT, so that's interesting. There's the GT line and the GT, which both come with a 2.5 liter turbocharged inline-4, making 300 horsepower. That's like, I guess you could say, the base models of these cars. And by the way, GT line is literally, that's what it says. It's called the GT line. That's the trim. But there's also the GT2, which comes with a 3.3 liter twin turbocharged V6, and that one makes 368 horsepower, which is obviously the better option in terms of performance. But I never even knew that was a thing. So yeah, I guess you learn something new every day. As for the body styles, this car is available as a 4-door sedan only. There is no convertible, no coupe. It's just a 4-door sedan. As for the drivetrains, it is available as rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Also slightly surprised me there too. I always thought they were only all-wheel drive cars, but apparently there is rear-wheel drive versions of these, which pretty cool, honestly. Not a lot of rear-wheel drive cars in 2025 that are fun to drive. And as for the transmissions, it is available with an automatic or a manual option, which is again very cool to see. You can get a manual rear-wheel drive 370 horsepower Kia in 2025. Very surprising in a world where Nissan and all the brands that used to make rear-wheel drive cars left, right, and center are all now making front-wheel drive or all-wheel drive cars. It's cool to see that Kia stepped up to the plate to give us car enthusiasts what we want, which is rear-wheel drive paired with manual, obviously. As for the price, these cars range drastically depending on the condition and trim level that you get, obviously, but I would say they're anywhere from $10,000 all the way up to like $40,000. If you're going to buy like a higher mileage GT 2017, you can find it for like 10 grand. But if you want like a really low mile 2023 GT2, yeah, it can be all the way up to 40k, because these cars are still relatively new and still kind of wanted. As for the reliability and the gas mileage, however, they are not the most reliable car out there. Kia just in general isn't really known for that. They are getting better, but definitely I wouldn't like rely on the fact that these cars are going to get you from point A to point B all the time. But gas mileage is a combined 25 miles per gallon, which is actually pretty decent for a sports car. Like, I know you were sitting there scratching your head saying, sports car, this isn't really a sports car. I would classify it as a sports car, and if you do, 25 miles per gallon is pretty freaking decent, man. That's not bad at all. Alright, but now we are into what the community tends to do with these cars in terms of modifying them. What do the car guys do? Because obviously, this channel is mainly for the car guys and seeing if the car guys want to buy them. If you're a regular person, I don't know why you're looking at buying a Kia Stinger, but if you're a car guy, this is what the community tends to do with them in terms of modifying them. As for the drifting scene, these cars are not seen ever just yet, but maybe in the future they will become a good drift car. I think the problem right now is just they're too expensive. Obviously, they're brand new cars, but maybe in the future, for sure, I can see these possibly getting some love in the drifting community. As for the rally/off-road community, these cars are not seen here ever, and there's a very clear reason for that. They're heavy and have a really long wheelbase. They're not rally cars. They're low to the ground. Nothing about a Kia Stinger screams rally cars. So yeah, they don't race them off-road. As for the street racing community, the guys who just like to go fast in a straight line and win big bucks racing against Hellcats and stuff like that.
Shit, that thing gripped up.
Sometimes I've seen videos of some Kia Stingers drag racing, and I've even seen some with drag packs on them, which is hilarious. But it's very rare. It's not like a very common car. You're not going to like go out every time to drag racing and see Kia Stingers out there. They're not the most common drag car out there, but they are seen, and they're being, you know, turned into drag cars more and more frequently, I would say. So they're getting there. As for the track racing community, again, same thing that I said about the street racing community here applies to this one. You see them sometimes, but again, it's very rare. Maybe in the future. This one is kind of tough though, because again, they are kind of boats. That's the main problem with these cars. They are kind of boats, so they don't like to take corners very well. So I don't know if in the future they're going to hold up well on the track. I highly doubt it. I think they have a better chance being good in the drag racing community than they would in the track circuit racing community. As for the stance / show guys, though, the guys that just like to make the cars look good, bring them to the parking lot, take some pictures of them at a 7-Eleven gas station, and then get a shout out from 7-Eleven on Instagram. It's seen quite a bit since these do look very good, but I wouldn't say it's anything more than like your average, you know, sports car. I think that's just right around the same, just an average amount. This car just in general isn't seen that much like in the car community. There's just not that many people that modify Kia Stingers, and when you compare them to other things like,
damn, this car feels so good right now. We just hit this shit like
M4 or M3.
Damn, I feel like I'm on a track. Like this car feels
those cars
like it's built for this now.
They're just more well known. More people are thinking about buying them. So
white
Kia
lines
Stingers,
and the
they
car
do have a community behind them for sure, and especially in the car community itself.
I'm assuming those Mickey Thompsons too play a huge role.
All right, but now we are into the good, the bad, and the ugly. And the way this works, in case you're new here, is first I go over the good, which are just things that are good about the car. They're selling points on the car. If you go to a dealership, this is what they're going to say to you to try and get you to buy the car. Then we get into the bad, which aren't actually bad things. It's just a fun play on words. Think of it as a middle ground area. All that it is a place where it's like, well, maybe this will affect you, but maybe it won't. So it's 100% personal opinion, pretty much up to the person, whether or not it's a bad or a good thing. And then we get into the ugly, which are just genuine problems, things that you're going to have to address one day. These are things that you might want to ask the previous owner if they address them already. But first off is the good, and the first thing for the good is that they are rear-wheel drive in 2025. We already kind of mentioned this obviously when talking about just everything you need to know about the car, but that is big, dude. There is not a lot of rear-wheel drive cars left in 2025, and seeing one is super awesome. Next is pretty much the same thing, but manual in 2025. Again, same thing I said for rear-wheel drive applies here, but manual cars are very rare nowadays, and so any manual car makes me happy. Next is the price. Honestly, the price kind of is for almost anybody. You can find one, like I said, for 10 grand. Realistically speaking, I would say it's closer to 15, but still like $15,000 all the way up to like $40,000. If you got the money and you got the money to splurge, you want a brand new, nice, brand untouched, perfect Kia Stinger, then you can do that but it's going to cost a little bit more. But if you're just somebody like just wants to get started in the car community or whatever, wants your first car to be something cooler, you can also do that as well, which is obviously really, really helpful. Next is the aftermarket support for this car. It's actually kind of good. It's very surprising because it is a Korean car, and Korean cars don't have the most amount of companies building parts for them, but this one for some reason does. There's actually quite a bit of aftermarket support for them, which also kind of leads me into my next point for the good, the community behind them. I no doubt the community is being so large for a Korean car is probably what makes all these companies want to build parts for these cars. And yeah, I guarantee that's the reason. There's a pretty decent community behind the Kia Stinger, as decent as you're going to get with a one-off style car though. I mean, keep in mind this car, it's its only generation. Again, things like Mustangs, things like Civics, WRXs, M3s, whatever it may be, the reason why they have so much aftermarket support is because they've been getting a massive community since the 80s. So that's the reason why those cars are so, some of them even before that, like Camaro and the Mustang and Corvette in the 60s and 50s. So that's the reason why. But for a relatively new car to the car scene, it's garnished itself a relatively decent sized community, I would say. Next is the car is decently quick for its price. I mean, yeah, it's not a race car. You're not buying you're not beating no C7 Z06 or anything like that, but for, you know, I would say on average, let's say like $20,000. If for 20 grand, dude, 370 horsepower is more than enough. You'll have a lot of fun with that. Next is the car is a sedan. That's just always helpful. It's always beneficial to have more doors for more whores. Next is the cup holders in them are obviously really nice. This is another thing that obviously it started as a joke, but now I always bring it up in my good, bad, and uglies because cup holders actually do matter. I have an Integra, and the amount of times I get so frustrated because I have to try and shift gears while holding my Arizona iced tea in my freezing cold hand is a nightmare because I have no cup holders in that car. So yeah, this car has decently modern sized cup holders. That's another thing too, is my Integra does have cup holders, but they're cup holders from the freaking 90s, and everything was smaller back then, so they don't hold anything nowadays. Next is the inline 4 is apparently a little bit disappointing, from what owners have said. The 300 horsepower inline 4, which does kind of make sense. Again, these things are very heavy, and if you're going to only have 300 horsepower, it might leave some room to be desired. Next is the ride quality is supposedly pretty good. I want to bring up something about the inline 4 though, and the reason why it's in the good area is because it still has a purpose, you know what I mean? Like, so if you're a car guy and then you want something that's more fun and more fast, you're the person that buys a GT2. The inline 4 is something for the person that's just getting started or just wants something with a little bit of extra pep in its step, and that's what it's good for. I know, like I said, it's a disappointing, and so it sounded like it was probably like a bad point or an ugly point. I just worded that poorly, but no, it's disappointing to car guys, but it's good for like people just getting started is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, yeah, the next point for the good is the ride quality is supposedly pretty good. Yeah, I don't really care about ride quality, but some people do, so there you go. Next is there is tons of space in the cabin for your legs and your arms and your heads and your heifers. They'll fit, man. You got plenty of space. And finally, for the good is the looks. Now, obviously, looks is 100% personal preference, but I think you're gonna be hard stuck to find somebody that would say the Kia Stinger looks bad. Do I personally love it? Am I like drooling when I look at a Kia Stinger? No, but it looks good, and I don't think there's gonna be anybody else out there that says it doesn't. So that's why I'm putting it in the good today. If you're the one person that doesn't think it looks good, then fine. But I think it's very good. It's gonna be very rare. Alright, but now we are into the bad. So things in the bad tier, again, are not actually bad. They're just things that are personal preference. It's just a fun play on words, man. Thank God that Clint Eastwood movie, because that's where I got the idea from, obviously. But yeah, they're just things that are just personal preference, man. It might affect you, it might not. And the first one is a perfect example of that, because it is the sound. I always put the sound here first in the bad for all my good, bad, and uglies, because obviously this is 100% personal preference. Some people love the sound of Civics, some people love the sound of V8s. So here's a sound clip of a GT2.
Wow! Beast mode in a Stinger!
Next is the tuning potential this car has. It's not like through the roof. Like, obviously you're not gonna have tuning potential like a Civic, and that's why it's here in the bad, because if you're used to things like that and you're used to building up N54s or LSs, then yeah, this car is going to be very lackluster in terms of its tuning potential. However, for a Korean car, I would say the tuning potential is very good, and so that's why I'm putting it here in the bad. It could be good for somebody, could be bad for the other person. Next is the reliability for this car. Yeah, it seems to be all over the place. Some people love their Kia Stingers and have no problems with them. Some people hate them and have a ton of problems with them. For me, it seems like it is again, I know I keep bringing up Koreans, but it seems like it is just a slightly better Korean car than what we're used to. So that's why I put it here in the bad. Next is these cars are not very easy to work on. Now, I don't want to insult any Kia Stinger owners, but I have a funny feeling the vast majority of Kia Stinger owners don't work on their own cars anyways, and they probably bring them to the shop. But if you are going to buy a Kia Stinger and you want to work on it yourself, just know that it's a headache, apparently. Next is the car community themselves doesn't really like them. Personally, I don't care. I'm 25, man. I have literally stopped caring whatsoever about if other car guys think my car is cool. Now, obviously, since I am a YouTuber, I kind of do have to think about the idea of, well, are my YouTube audience going to be entertained? But in terms of like, if I'm driving down the street, if I want to get a thumbs up from another guy with a car, do I really care anymore? Not necessarily. If I get one, am I happy? Yeah. But if I don't, am I gonna be like, that guy's a meanie? No, I don't care anymore. But if you are that kind of guy that cares about what the car community thinks, don't buy these, because for some reason they just don't really respect them. Probably because it's a Kia. Next is, I've mentioned it multiple times already in this video, but the car is very heavy. Again, if you're a straight line speed kind of guy, you don't really care about that. But if you are somebody that's going to be trying to go around a track or canyon carving with your Kia Stinger, you might want to look into that. Next is parts aren't very easy to find. That's just Korean cars in general. They're just never easy to find if you live in America. Obviously, if you live in South Korea, then yeah, it's perfectly fine. It's easy to find parts for them, but for us, it's not the easiest. And when I say it's not the easiest, I'm not saying it's like trying to find a freaking, I don't know, transmission mount for an M4 hard. No, it's not that bad, but it's not as easy as something like a Corolla or Civic, obviously. Next is, it's a Kia. Again, it's kind of falls back into everything that we've talked about so far. The car community not liking them, parts not being easy to find, them not being easy to work on, the reliability being questionable, the tuning potential, all that stuff. It is at the end of the day a Kia. And Kias, even though they're trying to rebrand themselves and make themselves into a little bit of a sports car brand, have never been that way in the past. And it's clear that this is like when they started. They have things that they don't have things that you would expect in a modern sports car in your Kia Stinger, which is just keep it in mind, man. You're buying what I would consider a blueprint to what Kia wants themselves to be in the future. And so obviously there's going to be problems. Next is the cargo space apparently leaves some room to be desired, which is actually very surprising considering the size of this car. But yeah, owners have complained about the cargo space in the car quite a bit, but I guess if you are trying to carry like 10 ladders in your Kia Stinger, it's not going to do the job. Next is the brakes wear pretty easily apparently. After looking up obviously common problems like I do for all these good, bad, and uglies, the one repeating factor was always brakes wearing easily. And when they do wear easily, it starts to warp the rotors. Obviously that can be a major problem if you don't keep up with routine maintenance on your car, but obviously once you start to realize your brakes are getting worn out, then you should probably swap the pads, swap the rotors. But if you don't, then your rotors will warp. That's more a you problem than anybody else's. However, the big problem here is obviously just the fact that the pads themselves wear down so fast. Like, and I think the reason why is probably they put too small brakes on too big of a car, if I had to guess. Like that's what I had if I had to guess, but again, I don't know. Next for the bad is the paint chips like crazy. Yet again, another problem that seemed to just keep repeating itself in every forum I read, but yeah, the paint starts to chip very easily. And finally for the bad is the sunroof tends to rattle. I literally could not care less in the slightest bit, but if you care about things like that, there you go, it's a problem. Alrighty lads, now we are into the ugly. So these are things that are quite literally just genuine problems. You're going to have to address these problems one day or another with your Kia Stinger, as long as the previous owner has not already. First off, for the ugly is this car leaks every single fluid known to mankind apparently. It'll leak out Capri Suns if you let it. I don't know what it is, but every single thing I read online, every forum was like, people were talking about this thing leaking, everything's leaking, power steering fluid, brake fluid, transmission fluid, oil, coolant, everything in this car will just leak for some reason, which is obviously a freaking pain and not fun to deal with at all. So yeah, that's a pretty big problem. That's why it's here in the ugly. Next is the automatic transmission tends to go way too early for such a new car. Apparently these cars have not horrible auto trans. It's not like you're like driving a freaking 89 Civic auto transmission, but it's not as good as you would want a modern car's auto to be, and that's the problem. Obviously, if your transmission gives you a problem or breaks or blows up or whatever it does, you quite literally cannot drive your car. So that's obviously a major issue. And finally, for the ugly is the common problems that this car has with the turbocharger on the inline 4. I personally, after like reading up on these cars, man, I would personally just stay away from the inline 4 altogether. If you can afford the V6, buy the V6. If you can't afford it, I get it, but if you can, get the V6. The inline 4 just seems to have more problems than the V6 does, while also being less fun and less enjoyable in the long run anyways. So yeah, I would just stick with the V6 anyways. So my final thoughts. Do I think that you should buy this car depending on the current situation that you're in? Well, we have 4 different situations. So we'll start with the daily driver folks. So folks that are quite literally just looking for a daily driver to get them from point A to point B, and that is absolutely it. Maybe. I don't think there are horrible options. There are definitely better options than some of the cars that we've done good, bad, and uglies on so far, but I just wouldn't hold on to it past like 100,000 miles. Like if you find one with like lower miles and it's got its maintenance up to date, yeah, sure, buy it, maybe drive it for a couple years and then get rid of it. I wouldn't be the guinea pig to see how reliable these cars can be, because I have a funny feeling once these cars get to the point where we're seeing a lot of 200,000 mile Kia Stinger driving around, we're going to start to realize that they had a lot more problems than we initially thought. As for the car guys looking for a daily driver, obviously we act like we're the same people as when we go to buy a daily driver. We're always like, oh, well, we're just gonna get a daily, but then we always get the fun ones, you know. While they get the Honda Civic EXs, we get the Honda Civic SIs. And so for us, yes, I think it's a better idea for us than it would be for them, just because we do tend to take better care of our cars, and also we will utilize the performance that the Stinger offers more than somebody that is just going to use it as a daily would. So yeah, I think it's a fun little car to drive around in. I definitely think it's a pretty good option for car guys looking for a daily driver. As for the Sunday cruiser folks though, the people that are just going to buy them, put them in a garage, drive them once a week and take good care of them, keep the resale value high, I guess, nah, just buy something cooler. If you're going to buy something with $25,000 just to put it in the garage, I would do that with like a 71 Camaro or something, not a Kia Stinger personally, but whatever, teach their own, I guess. As for the race car slash project car folks, however, the guys that are going to turn your Kia Stinger into something absolutely insane, absolutely bonkers, yes please, I think it would actually be very cool to see more Stinger builds. We're starting to see some, when I say some, I mean very, very little amounts, but every time you do, everybody's kind of just like, oh, I didn't know it could do that. It's kind of cool to see that the cars can be something pretty fun if you put a ton of money and time into it. So yeah, if you're looking for a race car slash project car and you got the money to afford to build up a Kia Stinger, then I absolutely think it's a pretty cool option. Is it the best option? Probably not, but is it a cool one? Absolutely. But ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of today's video of the good, the bad, and the ugly on the Kia Stinger GT. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content just like these. Let me know what other videos I'd like to see in the comment section down below. Check the links in the description for any of my other social medias or any of my other YouTube channels or any of that great mumbo jumbo. Next video, I believe, is going to be starting a new little fun mini series that we're going to be doing of the top 25 bests. Just top 25 best whatever it may be. We're going to start with hatchbacks. So why? Because I'm not that into hatchbacks anyways, and so I was like, you know what, it'd be fun to talk about something that I don't really talk about all that much. So we're going to do top 25 best hatchbacks of all time, and then we're going to do that with other little like things. But I wanted this, so we've done that before in the past. Obviously we've done like top 25 this, top 25 that in the past, but I've always just done kind of basic things like top 25 coupes, top 25 90s cars, whatever it may be. This time I want to go like really niche and just do the most random top 25s ever. I feel like that'd be really, really fun. Also, I've been trying, dude, I wanted to do a deep dive video for so long. You guys know that. I've been talking about it at the end of my videos all the time. I'm always like, oh, I want to do deep dives. I want to do deep dives. And then I never do them. And you guys are probably like, well, where are the deep dives at? I filmed a deep dive video, sent it to literally like maybe 10 people, 10 editors, and was like, hey man, you guys mind editing this for me? That was a month ago. I still haven't gotten a single thing back from any of them. They all were like, yeah, we'll get started, and not a single one of them messaged me back yet with like a finished product. So like, don't know what's going on with that, man. I'm just getting shafted, I guess. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Das Vidania, and have a nice night.